This conference will now be recorded.
All right, there we go. Thank you, dear. All right, good morning, everybody. Danielle, Robin, Kevin, who we have only briefly before he has to jump off to another meeting. Appreciate you ladies joining us, and hopefully we'll be able to do this in person next Friday. If you guys are going to be at the coffee shop again, very good. Kevin, before you sign off, did you want to add anything?
Well, yeah. Frank, what are we doing tonight?
Tonight we're having a fajita buffet, and oh yeah, Don Piper is going to be there. It's going to be like talking to Lazarus back from the dead. So yeah, super excited about it. I'm going to be heading up there in a
I
few
hope to
minutes.
be there. Yeah, I hope to be there. I've heard him speak before. His testimony is incredible, and I just encourage anybody that can come to come and hear Don Piper. And thank you, Frank, for putting that together.
Yeah.
Insights for the day. You know, when I make a listing, I had a deal kind of blow up on me yesterday. And when I make a listing, I put offer instructions as an attachment on the MLS. And I said on there, if you wish for seller is willing to pay compensation on all reasonable offers. I'm going to tweak that on the future one. I'm going to say, if you want to get paid, you put it in 12A1B.
Yes.
Period. And be explicit, because the other agent didn't. It created a crisis at the last minute. So lesson learned. I paid a price, and I just want to share it with y'all. That's all I would say on that one.
Yeah, that's expensive tuition in the school of hard knocks. So good word, Kevin. We all should be doing offer instructions anyway, uploaded to the MLS. And those offer instructions should provide some guidance on earnest money, option fee, option period, preferred title company, broker contact information, our contact information. All those kinds of things should be in our offer instructions. And as Kevin said, we should be explicit about how they should request compensation when submitting an offer on our listings. And Kevin, I'm going to update my offer instructions today to include that language. So very helpful. Thank you. Okay, let's do our realtor roundup. Bob, what's going on in your world?
Well, just going to ask you, when you update them, can you send a copy of that, of what you are updating?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to. Yeah.
I've got a new listing. I need to do that anyway, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. What you have to be careful with on offer instructions is not to tell people what the option fee and option period and earnest money must be, because if those things are all negotiable, right, and if you dictate the terms, you actually turn the transaction into an auction, because the only remaining variable is the price. And as a real estate agent, you are not licensed to conduct an auction. So when you provide offer instructions, I call mine offer assistance, meaning these are recommendations. It's helpful information that you'll need when presenting an offer. And then I put things like seller recommends a 1% earnest money deposit. Seller prefers a 7-day option period. I don't write it like this is what you must do to present an offer. Okay. So you just have to be, and I see that all the time. In fact, more often than not, agents get that wrong. And if I was in the business of filing TREC complaints, I could have a full-time job just doing that on offer instruction. But likelihood it's never going to cause a problem for you. But if there ever is a complaint, TREC examines every document and they will nail you on that. Okay, so I'll send that out along with all kinds of other things that Kevin has sent me that I've created for you this morning. Let's talk about the week. What's happening? We're 8 days into the new year. How are things going for you? Bob, since you got your mic on, why don't you start us off?
All right. Well, it's been slow for me, but it's been giving me an opportunity to update my database and kind of clean up my sphere of influence. I think I mentioned before that I thought I had about 4 or 5 spreadsheets with all my people on there, and turned out I had about 28 of them. So I'm consolidating on there, and boy, it's taking time, but it's good because I'm cleaning it up and even finding myself adding some names and stuff that I had left off from before. So that part's good. I do have a new, not new listing. It's reactivating a listing that was withdrawn over the holidays. It's 5.5 acres it's a mobile home, but it's a very well built mobile home. It's basically, in my opinion, it's a home that's not on a slab. I mean, it's
Yes.
very well constructed, and it's in the Navasota 1484 area up there. So it's nice rural property. Anybody's interested, we just dropped the price. When we started, it was originally listed. The client's wife had this crazy notion. She wanted to get $840,000 for it. My comps were more in the high 500s. But I do what I actually do. I'll go ahead and list it, and we don't get any activity, I remind them. So they ended up dropping it down in the 6s. They actually did what he wanted to come down. Bottom line was I recommended an appraisal, had an appraisal, and then came in right at like 500. So we finally dropped it down. I think we're at 559 now. So
Wow.
We're in a reasonable area where it's marketable now. And so
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
good for you.
Got any folks that want to move out of the city, but still not that far from where the action is? It's a nice property.
So, Bob, I think you handled that like a pro. And I just want to point out a couple things that you did that you probably just do naturally. First of all, you got the listing. You didn't argue over the list price to the point that they sent you packing and hired somebody else who would list it where they wanted it. So you were dialed in on the fact that you're the consultant, but they're the decision maker. So you got the listing. And then you used a third party, an appraiser, to come in and tell them what the value was. You'd given them your opinion. There was a difference of opinion. So how are we going to resolve that? Let's bring in an expert. And he successfully pulled that number down into the right range. So you're probably just doing that on autopilot now, but those skills and techniques don't come naturally to many agents. So I just wanted to point them out. Well done.
Well, I think I learned them from my mentor, a guy named Frank Gray. It's probably where I learned those skills, I'll call them. Absolutely. Thank you, Frank.
You betcha. Robin or Danielle, one of y'all turn the mic on and tell us what's going on this year for you.
Still got all my listings, but I did go under contract on my Harper's Preserve, and 3 days later they terminated. Had 2 possible offers coming in on the Houston home, and neither one of them came through. So I'm back to square one again. So I'm hoping the market improves. Bob, I might have somebody I might want to take out and look at that 5 acres. So I'll pull it up and send it to them, and I'll let you know.
Feel free to unmute yourself, Robin, when you have something to say. You were reverbing, so I went ahead and muted you. But yeah, hopefully you and Bob make a connection over that listing. Danielle, can you tell us what's going on in your business this year?
I'm doing a plan. I'm setting up a plan to maybe prospect neighborhoods separately, starting with 25 small groups, sending out mailers, calling them
Yes.
off markets. That's my
Yes.
focus, and open houses.
Okay. Open houses. I'm glad you said that because that's on my list to talk about.
Okay.
In my business this year, I closed 30 transactions last year. My goal for this year is 36. I just want to do 3 a month. And I don't think that will be terribly difficult. I just based on momentum and experience, I don't think it will be terribly difficult. But I'm not just counting on it to happen by itself. And among the many things that I'm doing as part of my business plan is I'm going to be hosting open houses every Saturday And every Sunday, unless I'm off on a beach camping somewhere or in India, and obviously stuff happens. But every Saturday and Sunday, when I can make myself available, I'm going to be hosting open houses. And I'll tell you, last Sunday and Saturday, I had my best open house results that I've had in a year. It was amazing. And one of these was on a stale listing that I've had for months. And I had 9 families come through in 2 hours on Saturday, and then 4 to 5 families, I forget exactly, on Sunday. So that was very encouraging to me. And of the 9 on Saturday, 2 were very interested. They're not in a position to purchase just yet, but they would have purchased had they had the ability. And on Sunday, it was 1. And it was the parents looking for their kids who they're going to bring up to see it. So I generated 3 really strong prospects for that home out of that open house. And I didn't do a great job of getting everybody to register, but those hot ones, I got their contact information. So they're the ones I'll be following up with. So
where are you going to get your open houses? Like, I've been going on the website and
Yes.
reaching out to other agents.
Yeah,
offering- yeah.
No, that's the way to do it. If I'm doing my own listings now, right now, that's very slim pickings because I only have 1 active listing right now. It's getting all my attention, but I've got another one in my neighborhood. I had to put in withdrawn status while they had a water leak. We've got to make those repairs. That'll be coming back online, and then I've got another one in the neighborhood set to come on. We've already got their purchase under contract, but it's a new build closing in June. I won't list their home till March. So my listing inventory is very thin right now, but I've already decided if I get tired of hosting this one house open, I'm going to contact other listing agents in my neighborhood. There's about 2 or 3 homes on the market with other agents. So, and by the way, that's another revelation I've had in the last couple of days regarding my GeoFarm, my neighborhood. I've been here less than 2 years, and I am participating in about 30% of the transactions that close in the neighborhood, either on the list side or the buy side. And that's, I'm by far and away the #1 agent in the neighborhood, but I am by no means satisfied with that. My goal is to hit 50%, to be involved in half the real estate transactions in the neighborhood. And so when I have active listings in this neighborhood, Danielle, back to your question, that's where I'm going to host them, because the open houses give you so much exposure in the neighborhood with your branded directional signs, and I can promote them on our neighborhood Facebook page, that type thing. So you want to layer these opportunities for open houses. You know, when I say layer, I mean you get the open house value, but then you get the GeoFarm value. And if your friends live in the neighborhood, you get the SOI value. You want to touch as many bases as you can when you do an open house. Okay.
Frank?
Yes, sir.
With what do you do for, or if you do, open houses for rural properties?
Yeah, so I don't know that I have any experience at that, Bob. I take that back. I did open houses on a trailer in Huntsville last year. It was an acreage property, and I'll tell you what, I had a ton of people through them, and I didn't do anything different to promote them other than I held the open house at the same time every weekend, like Saturday 1 to 3, and I had a time sign out there next to the yard sign on the highway that said open Saturday 1 to 3 p.m. But it was most of my traffic just came from the MLS open house notification and the open house signs, which I put out on the main highway all the way back to the home.
Yeah,
And
I did that with this listing and got nobody within a couple of hours, and pretty much did everything you just said. And so I didn't know if there was something.
Did you do it last weekend?
No, it was last year. It was, I think, when I first took the listing.
It's a new world now, Bob. I bet if you did the same thing again, you'd get much better results right now.
Okay.
We always expect the market to open up mid-January,
Yeah.
and I think we're seeing it right now. I think it's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, you're very welcome. Liberty, are you there with us?
Good morning, I am.
Hey, good morning. Tell us what's up, Liberty.
Well, I don't have any new business, but I did have people recognize me from some marketing that I've been doing with my neighborhood. I started the club in my neighborhood. I joined a Waller networking group and also a Waller women's group. And I think that's all I need for now. But I am getting my feet wet in my new area. So that's what my focus is right now.
When you say your new area, your neighborhood.
My neighborhood, yes.
Okay. And in your business plan, how many transactions are you expecting to close in 2026?
I'm sorry, I don't have a business plan just yet, but it's on my to-do list. So
Okay.
I did meet with another agent that I have been kind of going through these with every week. And that is what I'm supposed to be doing this week. But I don't have a business plan. I don't have a game plan yet. Another thing on my to-do list is to go back through your book.
So you can do it very simply, and it is extremely helpful to do this because as you're being very active right now, which is the key to getting results. You plant enough seeds, you're gonna get a harvest. But it will help you to be more intentional and to shift resources towards what's working. If you start with a plan that says, I'm going to close 18 transactions this year, and say half of them, 9, are going to be related to my neighborhood. And then within the neighborhood, say 2 of them are going to come from the women's club. 3 are going to come from referrals from the new home sales staff, a couple of them from my open houses, whatever it is. But for example, in my Geo Farm, I've even identified the number of homes that I'm going to sell referred to me by the clubhouse staff.
Wow.
And if nothing else, just seeing that on my plan reminds me I need to cultivate the clubhouse staff. Okay. I also have on my plan for the neighborhood host 2 community events this year. I'm hosting one of them tomorrow, and I have 200 people signed up to come. It's the capacity for our clubhouse. It's literally packed out right now, oversubscribed. And that's going to get my business off to a bang this year. But because it's on my plan, I'm like, oh, I need to be thinking about the next one. What am I going to do to duplicate this kind of success at my next one? And the other thing it causes you to do, Liberty, is to think, okay, well, now I've got the event on the calendar. How am I going to turn that into business? Now that I'm going to the women's club, how do I turn that into business? Because just doing the thing or showing up at the thing has some value. But if you can be very intentional about how you're going to extract business, how you're going to build relationships and turn them into real estate conversations, then it's going to go so much further. Go ahead.
That's the part I don't know. I know I need to know my area, and that's where that's why I'm joining these groups, because I'm learning things already just from the 1 or 2 meetings. But also I don't want to push real estate on people. I want it to be organic. I have started referring people to others that I've met. I don't know how to go in and say what you're doing is. I know I'm getting 2 sales from my people in my neighbor. Like, I don't know how to cultivate. I know
Okay.
I'm getting out there. I don't know how to bring it to me.
Okay, let me just share a thought, and then we'll open up the mics and tap into the wisdom of the group. But here's what I do, Liberty, because I walk a fine line with my sphere of influence in my Geo Farm of not wanting to come across as a salesperson. but also wanting to make sure that they know that I am a highly competent real estate agent. So how do I navigate those two competing priorities? I don't bring up real estate in conversation. That's it. That's number one. That's how I don't come across as a salesperson. When I go up and join the guys playing pool at the clubhouse, I'm talking about pool or whatever else they're talking about. But inevitably, they will ask me about real estate. And I'll answer their question, and then I won't continue it. I'll answer their question, and then we'll move back on. But what I do to make sure that they all know what I do is that I actively market to the neighborhood with my postcards, with my events, with my open houses, with my listing signs, so that everybody knows what I do, and I don't have to be the one to bring it up. And I have found that strategy to work very well for me. I've never been accused of manipulating relationships for business purposes because I just don't bring it up. I don't ask.
So
But
I think I'm doing okay with that then, because we were leaving and I think there's a book club that I went to and everyone was dispersing and several people left and two ladies came in and started asking me questions about the neighborhood because whatever. And she said, I knew you would be the right person to ask. So look at me learning from Frank. I'm doing good.
So I'll tell you what, if I was in a book club in my neighborhood, one of the things that I think I would do is have some custom bookmarks made. And they would be really nice. They'd probably have ribbons and feathers and flashing lights and dancing bears, but it'd be a really high quality bookmark. And it would have my name and Texas real estate broker and my phone number there at the bottom. It wouldn't be the highlight, but it would be on the marker. Liberty?
So I have the 50 plus club in my neighborhood, and my other realtor friend in the neighborhood that I believe is friends with Kevin, she's running the book club. I'm co-sponsoring it with her. So
Okay.
I will let her, I will leave that into her part, but I'm definitely doing something with the 50 plus club, and that's the one that I need to focus on addressing more.
Yes. And I'll just give you one more example of how I'm doing that. So I'm sponsoring tomorrow in my neighborhood this Don Piper event. And I'm not going to be talking about real estate, even though that's one of my two primary goals out of this. The primary goal is to let people hear the gospel and get saved. That's number one. But number two, I want to sell more houses out of this. And so what I've done, I'm not going to be talking about real estate. I'm going to be talking about Don Piper and go get a book and get an autograph and get a picture with the author. But I have created 200 gift bags, and I'm going to put them on every chair. And they have inside my real estate ruler, custom personalized ruler, magnetic ruler that goes on the fridge. It has my notepads. It has chocolate, at least 3 pieces of chocolate. It has a bag of chips. It has a Windsor Lakes 2025 real estate review, and I review all the transactions that occurred in 2025. What happened? It's a quick CMA, so it doesn't reveal individual properties, just averages. And then I am starting a Bible study in the neighborhood next week, so I have a promo in there on that. So I'm not going to talk about the real estate, but every single person who comes is going to get a big reminder that I am the Windsor Lakes resident realtor. Okay. So again, another way to do it.
Frank, when you do the, like you said, you don't tell them you're an agent per se, you got the subtleties there. What about wearing an Abbey shirt or wearing your name badge? Okay. So you do that.
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
I am for that. I think agents should do that more often.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't. There is something unconscious or subconscious, because I used to do it every single day. Now I don't, unless I'm going to a closing or I'm hosting an open house. If I'm somewhere in a professional role, I'll wear my branded attire. Otherwise, I don't. Don't follow my example in that. Follow your own leanings, because my advice would be to be branded all the time if possible. I don't know why I'm not taking that advice right now.
Well, I've learned too that not just branded body, but your vehicle.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
started in the business, I didn't have magnets. I had pinstriping done with my logo and name, so I couldn't take it off when I
Yes.
went places, and it paid off. I had people hail me down on the road.
Yeah. My vehicle is not branded right now, but what I'm thinking about doing is what I did once before on my truck is I put a branded vinyl in the back glass. It covers the
Right.
whole glass.
Yeah.
You can see through it from the inside, but it's a nice little billboard on the outside. I'll probably end up doing something like that
Okay.
again. Okay. All right. So it looks like Kevin has rejoined us. And I think it would be appropriate to revisit the subject that he suggested for today, which was sharing standard operating procedures or best practices or checklists of how you perform repetitive tasks. Kevin, tell us what you sent me in an email that I'm going to share with everybody else later.
So just high level, we all know how to make the sausage, but one of the, in other words, to do the different aspects of the deals, but there's an opportunity to have a more precise checklist, and therefore don't skip any steps accidentally, get them done in the right order, so it just goes smoother. And what I was trying to come up with was a checklist that's appropriate for me as a EXP Texas agent using SkySlope to home run my transactions and stuff into, and the best way to do all that. And that's kind of the thrust behind it. And it was my request was, let's share best practices. If somebody's got something that addresses that, let's use that and either use it as is or use it and tweak it. But that part of the work, I think there's a value in having a good solid checklist. And an example on the checklist, just like when you do a listing presentation, we could all do a listing presentation as it is. We could do one, and if I did two in a row, they'd probably be different. But by having a good checklist, I would make sure to ask clients, do you have any other properties to sell? That's just one little question to throw in there. And they're like, oh yeah, we got this or that. So I don't want to forget that question. So I want it in my checklist, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, and just to throw another question in, because that is a great reminder, who else do you know who is thinking about buying or selling real estate right now? We should be asking for referrals from our first contact with people, the first substantive conversation with people. So that's a great reminder. Who else uses or has created your own checklists or standard operating procedures for any repetitive aspect of your business? Listing conversation, buyer conversation, transaction management, anything of that nature. Do you all work from lists? And Bob, have you created yours or have you obtained yours from third-party sources?
Third-party sources that I've tweaked through the years.
Yes.
And the older I get, the more I depend on those checklists.
Yes. Yes.
I haven't quite forgot my wife's name yet, but I definitely want to make sure I cover everything. Especially in this day, well, any day and age in real estate, you've got time limits and time frames that have to be adhered to, and you don't want to miss those just because you were busy about other things. And I don't even have a whole lot of activity going on too.
Yes.
I can imagine, someone like you, Frank, typically has, 4, 5, 6 deals maybe rolling at the same time. I have to have my checklist.
So I did a listing conversation yesterday afternoon, and quite unusually, I had the seller there at the table, but I also had the referring agent. This is a former real estate agent. She's given up her license, but she sent me, I probably closed 5 deals last year that she sent me. Bob closed a couple with her as well. She was my #1 source of business, other than like my GeoFarm and my sphere of influence. My #1 outside source of business. Made probably $30,000 from her referrals personally last year. So she referred me again this week to one of her neighbors who's selling their house. And when I went to meet with the neighbor, she showed up and sat at the table with us. So now, even though she's not an active agent, she's a professional real estate investor and a former agent, and I'm performing in front of her. It raised the level of consciousness on my part that I wanted to do everything right and explain what I was doing so that she and the seller understood why I was approaching things in a certain way. But I thought it went really well. And because I was on my toes, I felt like I did an exemplary job where I might have just coasted through the conversation. I felt like I did it better than normal. And then when Kevin brought up the idea of sharing best practices today, I thought, you know what? I need to document what I did in that conversation yesterday. Even though I've created numerous listing conversation checklists over the years, we evolve, we do things differently. So I did document, I think in about 27 steps, what I did in that conversation yesterday. And that's the checklist that I'm going to share with you when I send it out. And it's by no means comprehensive. A normal listing conversation checklist will have like 89 items in it, and this is not that. It's really just what I did in that conversation. But it was a very successful conversation. And I didn't get the listing signed in the conversation as I was hoping to. The seller wants to wait 3 days to see if he's going to get the job offer that he's expecting, because he needs that job in order to, he's in the hole on this house, to know that he's going to have the funds to come to closing to get out of it. So we'll have it signed hopefully early next week. But anyways, that's what I'm going to share with you, is the listing conversation that I'm actually using in day-to-day practice. Okay. All right. 8:32. Who has an issue, problem, or opportunity, new tool or technology, or something you're curious about that you want to put on the table for the group?
Frank, I'm just, and I think you've covered this before, but just to reiterate, maybe, especially for some of us old timers, using AI effectively.
Yes.
Both on the listing side, mostly on the listing side, on promoting your listings, for example. What are some of the techniques and uses of AI that can be effective for an agent?
That's a great question, and I am probably the worst person to answer it. So let's just open the.
I'm the worst.
I know, Michael Hughes is my transaction coordinator now, and that's been a game changer all by itself. That's one reason I'll be able to go from 30 to 36 with, I think, minimal additional effort, is because I only started using him probably in September, October. And I'll be using him the entire year this year. So I hate the administrative part of this job. Uploading the contracts, fulfilling all the checklists on SkySlope, and sending out that amendment to get an initial that we missed. So Michael handles all of that for me now. And to your point, I know that he uses AI to write the listing descriptions. And I like them, because I'm the worst at writing a listing description. I'm very factual, and AI makes it more engaging. I do go back and read it afterwards and make sure that if there's a point that the seller really wanted to emphasize or needs to be pointed out, like this bonus room, and AI didn't give it a proper attention, then I'll go back and tweak it. But listing description is one area that's very helpful. Danielle, did you want to add to that? No. Okay. Is anybody else using AI in their marketing or their writing or advertising? Okay, Robin, what's going on? Here, I'm going to turn your mic on. Allow to unmute. Won't you unmute yourself?
There we go. I got it. I've been using ChatGPT and the MLSs. Actually, you can go to ChatGPT and do a virtual staging too. You just upload your picture and they'll virtually stage it. You can tweak it or whatever. It's not as good as some of the other ones, but it's free. And I use ChatGPT for my investors. If you ask specific questions like if I have an investor that didn't know if he should rent out his house or sell it right now, when he asked ChatGPT, I told him check ChatGPT, give me your rate, circumstances, and it came back, hold on to it for 2 more years, and then sell it. You get a better return per year, blah, 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 blah. Another one of my investors uses it to cipher 2 or 3 different properties, which I've done and sent to investors where they are looking for certain properties, and I go into chat and ask them specifically, they want to be in Cyprus, they want to spend under this, they want a high rent area, and they will actually send me MLSs that have the highest interest rental rates. Yeah. So within 5 minutes, it's really
Okay.
good.
See, that's a way that I could use AI. That would be very doable for me too, and I love that. And it's interesting that I have been using AI in a similar way for stock advice, investing in stocks. That's a new hobby of mine, and I'm having tons of fun with it. But if I'm looking at a new stock, I'll just ask AI. I'll just write into the search engine. You get an AI answer, and I'll say, what stock should I buy today? Or if I'm investigating a particular one, I'll say, what's the 12-month price target for NVIDIA? Or I'll pull up a list of stocks on a 52-week low. They're at the lowest price they've been in a year. And then I'll say, which of these stocks at a low point are expected to grow the most? And it really makes research so easy. And so what I'm doing on stocks, you're doing on home search, property search, and property advice. So I think that's pretty cool. All right. Any Bob, I don't know how much help we gave you on your AI question, but thanks for putting it on the table. Kevin?
I was going to broach another subject separate from the AI, but let's see if anybody else wants to opine on the AI first.
I know. I think we drained the well on AI.
Yeah. So I want to share what I'm doing and encourage everyone in this regard, and that is to look back over the past year or two, identify not just all your transactions or your biggest ones, but the ones really that were the best, the kind of people that you really enjoyed working with, and maybe in the process, the ones that were fish that you just as soon throw back. And then look at these transactions and say, okay, I sold 123 Banana Street. Why did they call me? Oh, well, they got their name from Susie. Well, I met Susie at an open house. So that's it was the open house I did for Frank 6 months ago or whatever. But in other words, and Frank, you're really good at this. How did this? You got to ask the question how or why about 5 or 6 times to go back, and you'll begin hopefully to see the transactions and where your real active sources of things are. You'll say, are they getting my email newsletter? Oh, they are. They won't necessarily call when they say, hey, I'd like to list a house, and by the way, I get your newsletter this morning. But so you got to put a little bit of time and effort into this. But the scenario I'm pointing to you is go back to the well and get another scoop of water. If you want to drill an oil well, I know exact place where you drill a good oil well, right between 2 other ones that are producing, right there. That's where you drill. And go back to the people that are picking you and using you now, and do not get distracted, as I often have been, at chasing ghosts. And by ghosts, I mean internet leads and all sorts of stuff. They're like chasing ghosts sometimes.
Yeah.
And even when you catch one, they're flaky and they're like, "Why did you call me?" And it's like, "Well, because you clicked on my ad." "Oh, I was up too late or something." Who knows what
That's right. That's
they
real
say.
life. Yeah.
But it's a whole different transaction than a friend calling that says, "Hey, my buddy Frank says I should call you. I've got to sell this house." And we're already sleeves rolled up doing the job. So that's my encouragement to everybody, is to take a little bit of time to reflect back on your past deals, and don't wig on the number of them or lack thereof, but focus on where did they come from? How did they find me? Why did they choose me? And find ways to double down on that. That's my general encouragement as we begin our new year ahead.
Yeah. I refer to that ghost client you referred to as stranger marketing. And certainly you can do business with strangers and make some money, but it's so much easier to do friend marketing, relationship marketing, because of the loyalty issues and the trust issues primarily. Robin had put a question in the chat about the IABS on the MLS. The IABS doesn't actually list an address. It lists names and phone numbers, but it doesn't have addresses on there. So you might be seeing that Oak Ridge address somewhere else.
Yeah, when I pulled up EXP under my name to find what address they want me to use, it had Oak Ridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not the IABS. It may just be your registered address as a real estate agent. So you can change that in HAR. You just go into your profile and you'll want to use the One Riverway Houston address, Suite 1700 77056. There it is. If you ever wonder about that address, just Google EXP office address Houston, and it should be the first result that shows up. One Riverway Drive. But our office on Oak Ridge was a branch office at one time, and a number of us put that as our official address, but you do need to switch it over to One Riverway. Okay. And oh, by the way, this is personal to me, but anyway, some of y'all have some history with me in this regard, but I think I'm going to be able to sell that property on Oak Ridge within the next couple of months. I've had it under contract for a long time to First Cup Coffee, but one of their partners got involved in a federal indictment, and so everything has been tangled up. But it looks like that is being resolved. It should be completely resolved within 2 weeks, and then we're going to proceed with the sale. And the reason I'm happy about that, it is going to relieve me of a great liability. I'm always afraid some kid's going to break their leg, or they're going to get scalded with coffee, or there's going to be a lightning strike through the roof. I've been sued so many times in my career. I don't want to be sued again. And being released from this property is going to be a great relief. And it looks like we're, probably 60 days away from that. So we'll see. But they have given us free use of the conference room. I need to book it. I've got a code to do that, and we'll start doing that as of next Friday. How many of y'all are going to Don Piper event tonight? Show of hands. Going, Danielle? You going, Robin? You going, Bob? Kevin?
I'll be there.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, I think it's going to be awesome. It starts at 6:30. We'll have a fajita buffet, so come hungry. I would get there a little early. It has a capacity of 80, and we have over 100 people who've said they're coming. So get there early. We'll have no shows. That's what I'm counting on. No shows that will drift us down to about 80. But who knows? Who knows? I can't predict in this case, because even though people didn't pay for the event, which is normally when you get a big washout rate, it is Don Piper. And so I think we're going to have I think we'll be at capacity. Okay, 6:30 tonight, Cilantro's Mexican Grill. I think it's going to be awesome. Look forward to seeing everybody. Any last word? Everybody good? Anything you want to get in before we sign off?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you, Liberty. All right. Well, we'll be back on our Friday schedule next week. Look forward to seeing everybody there, either in person or online. See you tonight.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.